This is the death of Hellscream. Now, this was a real interesting piece. I wanted to push it more into the blue-green spectrum and give it that sort of low lighting feel. That way everything was sort of in shadows. Now, the set was supposed to be where the infernals actually crashed down and created these gigantic craters. I wanted to give the cliffs a sort of jagged wall sort of effect, to sort of hopefully give it in little tones that it is a crater. The ground is sort of destroyed. We chose to put plants into the ground, on the ground, just so it would give it a feel of organic tones, but without it, you could definitely tell that it was barren. Manaroth was one of those characters that had a lot of elements like fire and wings, and he had actually 4 legs and 2 arms, so he was definitely one of our more complicated characters. And we actually chose to break out his wings separately because this model was so heavy. There was just so much information to actually render that we had to just break him out into pieces. His wings were actually a simulation. His armor was simulated in some of the shots, and some of it we actually chose to keyframe some of the animation because it was just impossible to get his armor to do what we wanted. So some of the skinning techniques that we were using on Manaroth were definitely new. We were doing everything in one mesh, and it was something that was developed along the process. And pulling off his fire, you've got this green guy with fire, and he's got to talk, and he doesn't have an upper lip. Just the challenges alone of bringing him to the screen were pretty crazy. So this ground here was all displaced. What displacing does is basically allows us to take a flat mesh and cut into it with a texture map, which is just basically a drawing, and it allows us to actually get a tremendous amount of detail out of this, but it's also extremely difficult to render. So we did a lot of that. We actually chose to do 90%, I think, of the modeling done in Act 5 was actually done with displacement. And Hellscream, of course, with his eyes, his red eyes. One of the things that early on that we talked about was his eyes burning out as the demon's corruption leaves his body. And it was definitely one of those things that we went back and forth on once again, just trying to figure out like how we're going to make him feel like his eyes were demonic enough that when he's dying that they can crossfade back to normal looking eyes. And I would have liked the shot to have been a little bit closer so we could really see it, but I think it plays out really well. Yeah, the voice actor that we brought in to do this was amazing. His range was incredible. So it sort of set the pacing and tone for the animator. And I think they nailed it. Pretty amazing stuff.